Hoy día estamos con un amigo desde el otro lado del mundo.
Desde bastante lejos.
eh,
Viene del futuro.
sí, bastante lejos. Exactamente.
Claro,
En el futuro,
acá siendo 2 de enero, él está ya viviendo el 3 de enero.
muy simpático. Quiso participar de esto de inmediato que se lo pedimos. Y bueno, sin más, hoy día está con nosotros Harapan Ong. Welcome, Harapan. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Do you know something about Chile?
I'm actually, to be honest, I feel very uneducated. I am not very familiar with Chile. I've not been there
Okay.
before, but I would love to go there someday.
And
I do
about
not
South
know much about it.
America?
Sorry?
And about South America?
Yeah, the funny thing is South America is one of those places that I've actually not been to. Like the entire South America. I love traveling, but I think South America for Singapore is literally like the opposite
Yeah.
side. So it's the furthest point as well. It's really difficult for very expensive. I also don't go to America, like North America. I don't go there very often, also because it's very expensive. So yeah, I've never been to South America, but I've heard it's a really lovely place with
Or
lovely people.
you're welcome to come whenever you want.
Once COVID is gone,
It's a long trip.
it's a very long trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if I ever
Well,
choose to go there, I would want to take a long trip to visit many places.
That would be cool. Harapan,
for some people,
let me start, Pablo. Harapan, tell us about the COVID situation there in Singapore. What's happening? What are you doing as a teacher, as a magician, and how is everywhere there? How is everything there?
Sure. The COVID-19 situation here is getting better. Is much better now. Nowadays, we are getting either 0 cases in the community or maybe 1 case in the community. A few days ago, we had 5, and we all panicked because we had 5. But yesterday we were back to 0, so we were happy.
We're not going to tell you how many cases we have in here today. It's crazy.
That's probably for the better. I think life is a little bit more normal now, a little bit more normal. I've been going to work since June. I've been going to work, I'm teaching. And magic-wise, I think 2021, I'm trying to be a bit more going back to jamming and sessioning with small groups. Because 2020, I just shut it off completely. Last time, I used to hold big jams in Singapore, an open jam. So anyone can come by. Like I'll say Saturday afternoon, 1 to 6 p.m., come by, anyone. And so like 30 people will come down, quite a big group of people. But now 2020 was all 0, just none of that. So in 2021, I'll try to have smaller groups because in Singapore, we still can't have very big groups. We only can up to 8 people. So we will try to make it smaller, but still good. So that's what I want to do.
Theaters are open or not yet?
Theaters?
Yeah.
Movies, yes. We can watch movies. Yep. Movies are open. I went to watch Wonder Woman recently. Yeah, open.
so you're doing the ordinary life.
Yeah, ordinary life with some restrictions, a little bit here and there. So like you cannot have too many people. The maximum is 8. If you want, there's a lot of contact tracing. So when we go into a building, they will check your particulars to make sure they know who is entering where. So when there is one case happening, they know where you've been to, so they can warn people or ask them to do a cleaning on that place. So there are some restrictions, but there is a lot of people. Nowadays, if you go to like a shopping mall or something like that, it can be a lot of people. Yeah. So that aspect has come back, which is good.
Well, for the people that that know you as a magician but doesn't know anything about you. You are a physics teacher, and I would like to enter that topic, asking you how magic and the physics science merge from your perspective, because the science look for the explanation of things, and on the other hand we have magic that is the opposite.
Right.
It's like would like that the spectator does not manage to find the solution for the question and in the miracle.
Sure. That's a question I get quite often, which is it seems like science and magic is the opposite, right? They don't seem to merge together, and yet I often talk about them, how they influence me together. So I think the way they merge together is not so much on the outside. So to audiences, to the people outside watching, of course, magic and science is completely different. But to me, inside my heart, inside my mind, both science and magic, when I study both, they give me the same feelings. They give me the same feeling. And the feelings, why they are the same, let me try to explain it. For example, I like creating card magic. I like inventing my own ideas. And the way I decide, or the way I think about what is a good card trick or a bad card trick, is very similar to the idea of how I, come when I see a beautiful equation or a beautiful theory, physics or maths. It's the same feeling. When I see a good card trick, I get the same feeling. For example, let me try to think of a good example. Okay, for example, if you ask a physicist or mathematician about their work, they have some questions sometimes. Is, for example, I don't know what you all think, Paulo and Ricardo. Like when a mathematician comes up with a theory or theorem, of a physicist come up with a equation or something like that. Do you think that equation was invented by the physicist, or was it discovered by the physicist? Discovered meaning it already exists somewhere in the sky. It already exists. The physicist just discovered it, right? And people can argue. Some mathematicians will say that numbers and theorems already exist in the heavens. It's somewhere out there already. We are just discovering it. Whereas some mathematicians say, no, we humans invented everything. We invented numbers. We invented the concept of numbers. And for card tricks, sometimes I feel like that. For a really good card trick, sometimes I feel like so good. Like if you come up with a good theory, or I read a book and I find something really cool, it feels like I have discovered something. I'm not a religious person. I don't have a religion, but it feels like I've discovered something that God has already created. It's already perfect. And I just like, oh, I found it. I found such a great move, or such a great thing is already there. And that's what I get the same feeling when I see a good physics theory and a good card. So I think on the outside, it looks different. But for me as the artist, inside, it's the same emotions I get.
You grab the idea and make it yours, but then how do you externalize that feeling with the people?
Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure I found a way to fully express it to people. Mainly because, honestly speaking, I don't perform a lot. Be very honest. I'm a teacher. I'm not a professional. mostly I perform for my friends, my family, my students in school, and online on Instagram, right? And Instagram, it's not real life. There is a
different
gap. Yeah, it's quite hard for me to express that kind of emotion. That emotional connection is not as strong. I mainly focus on Instagram on, visual tricks, not necessarily emotional connection or impossibility. It's just, hey, something cool, it's like, hey, look at this. And like, ooh, I like that, and that's about it.
You don't have enough time to develop something on Instagram or social
correct.
media.
1 minute to express a connection, It's like asking someone 1 minute to have a relationship with a new person. It's very difficult. But I think it's like what Tamaris would say, right? Like, your love for magic, if it's strong enough, it's like your audience is like a mirror, right, of yourself. So if you are passionate, your audience will reflect that sort of passion. And I think that I try to do that. I don't know if I'm successful, but I try to do that in my performance. I try to perform with passion because I'm performing something I like. I hope my audience reflect kind of passion and give me the same response.
Have you studied a lot, or not a lot, but have you studied magicians from Spain? Do you like the magic from Spain, or mostly?
Yeah. There's one Tamaris. I mean, Woody Aragon stuff is great. Danny Doherty's stuff is great. I would say I know there are a lot of underground magicians, or like, magicians that are really fantastic, but maybe not as well known outside of Spain. I think I was introduced to.
I ask this because here in South America, here in Chile, for the language, the most influential country for us is Spain, because there's a lot of great magicians and the books are on Spanish, and it's not all the people in here speak English, and not everyone can read something from the United States or from Europe.
Yeah. So I can imagine Spain being very influential in Chile. I was introduced to a lot of great Spanish magicians by my friend People Villanueva. Yeah. What a great guy. Such a fantastic guy. And his magic is also really good.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy as well. When I first met him in London, I was studying in London for my university for like 3-4 years. And I met him first time there. Just one night, we were just talking about card tricks. And then a few months later, I just messaged him, hey, People, I want to go to Spain. He's like, come and stay at my house and, I'll bring you around. And he met with, he brought to meet me many great magicians in Spain. So good. So good. Spain is such a great community of magicians, all so talented. At a table, everyone is just quiet, even those who are just sitting there quietly, like you don't know who they are. Like, hey, how are you? And they show you some magic. It's like the best.
Sometimes we
they're not even
sometimes we say it's difficult to find a bad magician in Spain. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Even the worst person I saw that night is still better than anyone I have in Singapore. Even there's just one guy there who is like, oh, I don't do tricks, I don't perform, I just do sleight of hand, I just like this control. Hey, look at this control, and it's some crazy control, it's some crazy control, and you're like, oh man, this is so good. Like even the guy who doesn't perform is one of the best you've seen.
Do you met him at the session?
No, I met him at the Magic Circle. Circle in London. He was there with Ines.
Okay.
Ines, isn't it?
Yeah, the female magician.
Yeah, female magician. Yeah. He was there with Ines, and it was fun.
Do you recently you put a topic on the table when you said that you perform or practice in front of your students or your family or friends, and I got the chance to put that idea and asking you about when you decide which magic tricks. I don't like the word tricks, but when you decide which or when to publish your effects on your books?
So you're asking how do I decide when to publish them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. This is actually one point I am a little bit ashamed about. I should explain why. The stuff I publish, I will be very honest, it is different from other magicians who publish their stuff after 10 years, 20 years of performing the material in front of lay people, in front of audiences. And they'll say that their book contains professional, polished material that is worker, it works, it gets great reactions, blah, blah, blah. For me, I am not ashamed to say this because I make it very clear. A lot of my stuff is not necessarily tested over many, many years. A lot of times it's more academic, it's more theoretical. It's more like, oh, I want to take some idea you probably know of, for example, and use it in a way you've not seen before, in a weird way, and hopefully it will inspire you to come up with something for yourself. That's because I am that kind of magician that looks for books like that. When I read books like let's say like David Williamson or Williamson's Wonders, for example, right? And I love David Williamson. He's one of the best magicians in the world, not the best magician. But when I read his book, I don't get as much out of it because his routines are so perfect. And as someone who likes creating stuff, I sometimes, honestly speaking, as a secret, I almost kind of want to look for books that are a little bit not perfect. I want to look for books with tricks that are not perfect. Yeah, exactly. I want to read a book where it is interesting. The ideas will make me think like, oh, it's good, but the ending is not good. Like, I want to do it my way. Like, how would I do it? And I want to blah, 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 do something. As opposed to, it is perfect from start to finish because I can't perform it. I can't perform any like, oh, I tear a card or, I don't have, here, ask the spectator to sign the card and then check your jacket pocket. I don't perform in that situation. So my magic tends to be more theoretical and academic. So how do I decide when to publish my stuff? To be very honest, is I refine it to the point where I think it's good. When I perform for a few people, I try to sense where the mistakes are. So if I think, let's say like, oh, I got a trick which has a top change, and when I do it, I can tell that the person can spot my top change. That means it's the wrong timing, the timing of the top change is wrong, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe, the presentation here is too long. I'm saying too much and the energy is going down. I need to cut something here. And I slowly do adjustments, just a little bit, and then eventually, once it's good. But that it's not over 10 years of performing everywhere. It's just, I try as much as I can. Sessioning, jams, and
talking about the same, what was your motivation to publish Principia?
Good question. For many things, I've always wanted to publish stuff for magicians that, I had a lot of stuff waiting to be published. And my first book, which was Close Calls on the call, was my first try at publishing because I thought that if I had one slide that I was good at and I had a lot of material for, I would be more like famous. I would be more well known because people will go, oh, Harapan, he does the call very well. like they can think of one thing to. Yeah, exactly, the call guy, right? Like, oh yeah, that's the call guy. It's like like, oh, Tamariz, the mnemonica guy. Just kidding. Obviously, he has more stuff. So that's what I did. But eventually, I got tired.
The everything guy.
Right? Yeah, of course, the everything guy, the crazy guy. So eventually I had a lot of stuff, but everyone kept calling me the call guy. I would show other stuff and they'll say, oh, I thought you only had the call. So I said, like, man, I want to publish something. Like I have got a lot of stuff waiting behind me just to be published. So I wanted to publish a book. At that time, I had just finished my physics, and I wanted to do a book that was physics theme. The theme had to be physics. So the name Principia had always been in my mind. I wanted a book called Principia. It sounds cool. It is cool, and it's physics related. So that was always in my mind. But eventually, it came out.
So the name was way before the book.
Yeah, way before. The name was actually, to be honest, the name and the format of the book was already in my mind for a very long time. Even when I was studying university.
Yeah, cool. There is another thing that I think is really cool about your book, that the way the format that you give to every effect. You make it looks like a scientific research paper when you put analysis and method and different things. Why do you took that decision, and what do you think is best for us? Because I think it has some really cool things that another books doesn't explain, and things that makes you think about it. I mean, I think it's really cool.
Sure. So one reason why I wanted to do that was because, firstly, it fit the theme of Principia, like of science, of physics. And like I said, I wrote the book immediately after finishing my degree, where I was reading a lot of papers every day. So my mind was paper, research paper, research paper, research paper. So it's very easy for me to write in that style after having written and read a lot of these papers. But I think the benefit of writing it in that style was that, firstly, the language was concise. It was short. No, scientific papers cannot you cannot have like a long paragraph of explaining blah, 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 blah. It has to be to the point. Just facts. What do you need to know? What do you need to know? Very, very simple. The second thing I like about that style is that it has an abstract at the start. So the title, the abstract, just means a very short introduction about what you are going to read. So like, this trick involves using blah, 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 blah. I did this to create a twisting the aces effect. It's very streamlined. And so what I like about that is that when you are reading, you can look at the oh dear, something. Give me a moment.
Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did my light just go off? Okay, I think it's too hot. Okay, okay. It's okay. Okay, it's hot.
Don't worry.
What was I going to say?
You were talking about the benefits of write the effects as a paper.
What is good for the reader is that when they read the trick, they know what is about to happen. They don't have to read the entire thing to know what the effect is about. I'm going to just make fun of someone now. Harry Lorraine is obviously one of the most famous and respected writers in magic. I cannot read his stuff. He loves to not describe anything in front, and then just says like, okay, this is a trick by Juan Tamariz. Oh, this trick is fantastic. If you do it, you will get the best reactions. Here's what you need. You need 2 jacks, you need a double facer, you need a blank card, and you need a blah, 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 and you need a deck, a Zvengali deck. Go there. Wait, what's the effect? What am I reading? And I have to read the entire thing. Blah, 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 blah. You do a double lip, blah, 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 5 pages, and then you read it. Oh, maybe it's not that good. But like, oh man, I wasted my time reading the entire thing. I want to know what the effect is before I jump in. It's so annoying. So I can't read Harry Lorraine stuff because it's so annoying.
He's not the first person that I hear that say that.
Right?
Yeah. And I also I also agree with you.
Yeah, describe the damn trick. Just describe it at the start. And I know that Harry Lorraine actually, it's not a mistake. Consciously chooses not to write it in the start. He feels it's unnecessary. It is very necessary. Are you crazy? But anyway. And one last thing, I think the benefit is that a lot of people don't notice this. At the end of every trick in Principia, I try to tell people what I think can be improved about the trick that you just read. Because I know that every trick I put out is not perfect. In fact, I would say any trick you put out is not perfect, because perfect is real magic, right? Everything we do is approximating real magic, right? We are just there. So there's always something that's not quite there yet. It's not quite perfect yet. So I think in scientific papers, one of the benefits is scientists have to state clearly what is the problem with their experiment, with their results. They have to say what's the limitations. So they say like, oh, we did this, but it could have been more accurate, more precise in certain aspects. You know, need to do more research into this part. We are not so sure. And I wanted to do that for my tricks. I don't want people to think that everything I put out is perfect. I want people to think and like, okay, this trick is good, but there is one part that's not so good. So,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted.
You leave little challenges, or you leave the trick open to put the hand of the who's reading. That's cool. And why do you think it's the main reason that of the successful of the book? Because it was one of the most sell books on 2012, I
19,
think, or 19.
yeah, no, it was released in 18, and 19 was mainly where it sold a lot. Yeah, I was very surprised. I mean, I wanted my book to be successful, but I didn't know it was going to be that successful. I think for a few reasons. Number one, like I said, I think there is a large body of magicians out there who are just like me, who are interested in tricks. You know, they are just hobbyists, they're just amateurs. They like to play with interesting ideas. So when you have many magicians releasing great material, I'm not going to say they're bad, just fantastic, way better than mine. You know, like let's say Helder Guimaraes, great stuff. Look like his books, such polished, fantastic routines. Kit Hartling, such great routines. Darwin Ortiz, not all these fantastic magicians, but they're very, like I said, they're very big, polished routines. And the situation they perform in is like very formal, right? It's like, oh, I'm in the theater, I'm performing, da da da. So I can't take any of these. I can only take the principles and the concepts, but I can't perform any of the tricks because they're so big. So I feel like Principia is a book with many small tricks that are perfect for, you know, you're performing for your friend, or you're like, oh, because that's where I generally perform. And I think many magicians were like, whoa, these are good tricks, but they are small tricks that are usable for me because I'm just a hobbyist. I'm not a professional. So I think it related to them on that level. Secondly, I think not many books nowadays come with the gimmicks. So that was a unique thing. People were like, what, $60 plus their gimmicks? Oh, I'm buying it because it feels like, you know, it's worth it. It's more worth it. And also, a lot of books don't have videos. Mine has videos. So they're performance videos. So people who are afraid of reading books, they say, oh, I can't understand. Oh, there are videos I can watch to know what the book is about. Great. And then last but not least, I think why it sold so well is because of social media. I think it was one of the few books that was really publicized on social media quite well. Instagram, on Facebook. Vanishing Ink tried to do some of that, and the response was great. So nowadays, all their books, if you notice, they do a lot of push on social media because they realize that social media is not just video full of kids that don't want to read. If you know how to market it, the kids on social media will buy the book. A lot of Principias, so many kids message me, it's like, Harapan, you know, this is my first book I ever bought. I never dared to buy a book, but I want to buy a book now. And so Vanishing Ink was like, oh, there's a big market there that people are not buying, you know. that we haven't tackled yet.
We are talking about books and social media. We know that you have an Instagram site review about books, and then you pass with Vanishing with a column, and we want to know about that aspect of your life, the review of the book, and then with Vanishing.
Sure. So when I first started it out, to be very honest, the reason why I wanted to do that was because I love magic books. I love reading magic books. I had a lot of magic books at home, and I wanted to find a way to share that love with my followers. So one of the most common questions I get is, Harapan, I know everyone says magic books are great, but I don't know what books to buy. I don't know what books are good. And my opinion is always the same. I always tell them, the time you spend thinking and wondering if you should buy a book can be more well spent in just buying any book and read. You know, you spend years or months just like, oh, should I buy Mnemonica? I don't know. Magic Rainbow? I don't know. All that time, just buy the freaking book and read it. It doesn't matter, you know? And that's what always, then they'll say like, oh, it's expensive. Okay, maybe it is expensive, but in my mind, I always felt like, okay, give me a moment. Let me just charge my phone. I always felt like it's the same people who say books are expensive that also buy like a gimmick for, you know, $60 or something like that, which is to me ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I want to share. A lot of people don't know, so you should just go and buy the book. That's what I'm trying to. You should just go out there and buy the book. But anyway, but it's a genuine question. However, it is a genuine question. As to what books you should buy. So I decided to do a book review. I would take my favorite books. I would do one trick in 1 minute, and I will talk about the book in 1 minute. So it was 1 minute trick, 1 minute review. That was the concept, so that the kids will actually watch the videos. To be honest, at the start, it didn't do so well because people didn't really understand, and a lot of the kids were like, this is a bit boring. Just like, I don't want to listen to books. Like, what's going on? I don't want to. So my views and likes were like, oh. But eventually, I think around book review number 20 something, the views were and the likes. People started realizing, oh, this is actually really good content. He's talking about Vernon. He's talking about Marlowe. He's talking about okay, and they get onto it, and. But I started reaching a point, a stopping point, because I realized that a lot of books don't have tricks that fit in 1 minute. It has to be, and at the time, IGTV wasn't a thing. So there was no IGTV. I couldn't upload more than 1 minute. So I was like, oh man. And if I take, let's say Darwin Ortiz, I want to talk about Darwin Ortiz. Darwin Ortiz tricks are like 10 minutes long. And it's unfair for me to take his weakest trick that lasts for 1 minute and then say, oh, ladies and gentlemen, buy this book because of his weakest trick. I want to show the strongest trick, but I can't fit it in 1 minute. So I hit a point where I was like really struggling to do it. Vanishing Ink came in and was like, Harapan, we want you to do this on our blog. We're starting a blog and we want you to continue doing it here. So that was a good opportunity for me to not only write more about the books, but also upload YouTube videos of more tricks. And also on top of that, Vanishing Ink is going to pay me. So I was like, okay, that's not a bad thing. Like, I'm getting paid to do something I love, so I agreed to do that.
Okay.
So I sent him quite a lot of posts on that. Yeah.
But that's on the side of the books. Now let's go to the side of the social media, Instagram. I know that today you have you select a magic trick. You explained it in a private account only for magicians. Let's talk about that.
You're talking about I taught a free trick on the private account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that account is actually not run by me. That account is actually run by my friend Franco Pascali.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not done with it. So Franco is almost like he's trying to do a little bit of it's a bit like Apocalypse, but on Instagram. You know, like magicians, he collates material from everyone. And then if you subscribe to the page, you get free magic sent to you. So he's been asking a few magicians to submit stuff, you know, to submit stuff to the page so that they can share it. He asked me, and I'm a good friend of his, so I gave him a trick to share. It's a brand new trick that I quite like. And yeah, so that's the idea. I think it's a great opportunity. I wish I had done it earlier. It's a great idea. It's a really fantastic idea.
Yeah, because we think to do those kind of things, to put the magic clothes of the magicians and an instant, it's a way of democratize magic, because maybe there's a lot of potential magicians who can't buy a book or who can't have access to magic. And what do you think about that?
It is. You are so absolutely correct. I think I always get very sad when I see some magicians in some countries where, I mean, I am quite privileged in the sense that nowadays, because I have a good job and stuff, if I want to buy my magic, I can easily buy with. I don't have to think much about like, oh, if I buy this, then I have no food to eat. It's not like that. You know, I have a house, I can eat my stuff normally. But I know some people in some countries, they are so passionate about magic, but because of where they live, the circumstances with their family, they are just not able to learn anything. And whenever I talk to some magicians are always very they're like, oh, these people from Asia, they're always like, you know, buying, taking free stuff, or blah blah blah. And I don't think, and of course, piracy and copying people's stuff is not good. I mean, as a book, I don't want my books to be pirated by these people. But sometimes I look at them after talking to them, and I'm like, I don't know how else they're going to learn. I don't know. And they really can't afford to buy like, oh, the magic rainbow I buy. That's like 1 month's salary for them. You know, it's just not possible for them to spend that kind of money when they're supporting their family sometimes. And it's just crazy. So at the same time, I know piracy is not good and things like that. But at the same time, I sometimes just think like, man, if your situation is really bad, I'm just going to like, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to care so much about that because I know how bad it is. Yeah.
So you have a huge knowledge about books. Which three books do you recommend for the people that is just starting?
Oh, just for starting is hard. That's a good question. Okay, I'm going to answer your question in a weird way because I will warn you first. At the end of what I'm going to say, I don't have an answer. I'm not going to give any answer for that. I have no 3 books for beginners. I will say, if you're a beginner right now and you're listening to this, here's my advice. If you are an absolute beginner, meaning you don't know anything about magic and you want to start, don't start with books. No, there are many good videos out there now that will show you exactly how to do certain things well. We make fun of YouTube tutorials because last time, maybe 10 years ago, magic tutorials on YouTube are bad, right? It's just bad quality stuff. But nowadays, the landscape has changed. There's so many great magicians doing free tutorials.
Any suggestion?
On YouTube.
A YouTube channel?
Okay, here we go, right? There are many, many great tutorials on YouTube nowadays. So go check some of those out and you can get your basics down over there. If you don't want YouTube videos, you want to spend some money, to learn some really good tricks, there are some really great videos. I mean, like I always say, like some of the old L&L DVDs, they're now all download. You can just download them, and they are a fraction of the price of the DVD because they're just a download. No, Michael Ammar's Easy to Master Card Miracles. Simple tricks. You get a lot of tricks for that price. If you're a beginner, you don't want to spend too much. Just buy the DVD and you get a lot of good tricks, and you learn all the sleight of hand in the context of a trick, which is what I like. I think for beginners, if you tell them, okay, now you learn palming. Okay, next 2 months, palm. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to do a trick. I want to fool my friends. I want to see them go, oh my God, right? You want to see that. So if you learn tricks and you learn the slides through the tricks, I think for beginners, it makes more sense. So go and buy some Michael Ammar stuff and just get your basics down. Learn the basic plots in art and that, things like that, and you can proceed from there. But if you want to get books, what I suggest is you don't get books that focus on just one magician. Meaning you don't buy like oh, this is Darwin Ortiz's book. Because if you don't understand it, you might go, oh, what you want to do as a beginner is you buy a book that has many magicians in it. Like a big compilation book. So a book that many magicians have contributed to it. So that when you read it, not only are you learning many magician stuff, usually the work is very difficult to very easy. Because some magicians they like self-working stuff. But if you want to try something more difficult, you can slowly progress up from John Bannon, bloop 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 bloop, Ed Marlowe, right? There is you can choose whatever you want on this. And also, what's more important is as you progress in magic, once you've read books like this, you get a sensing of whose magician's magic you like. When you read, you start to go like, oh, okay, I really like this person's trick. What's his name? Alex Elmsley. Okay, cool. Next time I will check out books on this magician. Then you go and buy books for that magician. Then this way you won't buy a book where you won't like. Because now you know that you like this person's style of thinking, style of constructing a trick. That's my advice for beginners.
And the a YouTube channel in particular?
YouTube. I would say, Jay Sankey is great. I like Jay Sankey. Jay Sankey, great guy, and he teaches a lot of stuff that is both simple and also very. If you like card sleight of hand, there's my friend Alex Pandrea, I think does very professional stuff over there. Xavier Spade does some nice stuff also. He has some videos on 3 simple slides. He teaches a jog shuffle. He teaches different palms. I think some of those videos are really good. You should check out. Yeah.
Harapan, tell us a little bit about your experience on Share Magic. I think in event on April, a lockdown was successful all over the world, and you were there. How was that to share with David Lane, Dan Garcia? That was crazy.
Yeah, I honestly, I was definitely the smallest person in that group. Everyone was so good. I'm just the small fish. Yeah, they just invited me. I was so surprised. They just messaged me saying, "Hey, Harapan, we're doing a free event. Please join in." Because I think what they wanted was people who could share tricks. They wanted tricks, and I am tricks. So they contacted me and said, "Harapan, I want you to share tricks. No theory. Don't talk about theory. Don't talk about your experience performing. No, just go in there. Hi, here's a cool trick. They wanted that for me because many magicians want to learn. So that's what I did. It was really fun. I was super nervous because I know how many people were watching. And just from that, I shared for half an hour. Yeah, I shared for half an hour. I think I gained 400 or 500 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
That's how crazy it was. Yeah, in half an hour, when my followers just went, it was quite crazy. Yeah, quite crazy. Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun.
And
Harapan, how do you see the world of magic in 5 or 10 years?
that was a
What
difficult
an
one.
interesting question. Because if you asked me 5 years ago, Harapan, where would you see magic in 5 years? I wouldn't have said Zoom. You know what? Zoom magic is going to be the best thing ever.
No, you're crazy. That's what I was said 5 years ago.
Yeah. I honestly don't know where it would go. In 5-10 years time, I suspect what I hope. I would say, okay, I don't know what will happen, but I'll say what I hope.
Yeah.
What I hope will happen is that I hope that whatever new medium comes out next 5 to 10, it's a new kind of video where you take the eye drop, and you're watching a video already or something like that. Well, whatever you're watching, right? Or you breathe a gas. You're watching a video in your mind, whatever the new format is. I hope that magicians don't. I hope magicians will immediately embrace it and try to find ways to make use of that medium, as opposed to no, it is bad. Only real life magic is good. Because I always think to myself, like, can you imagine if 5 years ago, when YouTube, social media, all these were coming up, if the best minds in magic all decided, let's focus on this medium and let's come up with the best concepts, the best tricks for social media, for YouTube, for Instagram, for Facebook, or for Zoom, for live calls. Imagine if we did that. Now we wouldn't be struggling to, come up with new ideas for this medium. But unfortunately, many magicians, including some of the best minds in magic, are all like, oh, Zoom magic is not magic. YouTube magic is not magic. Social media is not magic. Real life connection, which is true. Connection in real life, of course, is always going to be strongest. But society is enjoying entertainment in so many different ways. It is bigger than magic. We have to learn to adapt to it instead of saying no. And I feel like if we had been more open-minded 5 years ago and not be like social media is bad, TikTok is bad, Facebook is bad, then we wouldn't be seeing magicians losing their jobs or unable to transition their material to this medium because they don't know how to. They just never learn how to do it. I mean, imagine if people like Michael Weber or Tamaris, all this, decided to just be like more open-minded and just like, let's embrace social media. Let's come up with the best concepts. Like get Danny Dautis, get all these magicians to invent crazy concepts for this. It would be insane, Get Helder, or invent the best new concepts just for Zoom, just for social media, just for Instagram. It would be insane. It would be really, really crazy. But we left it to the young kids. We left it to the young kids to do it, and they do some good stuff. But obviously, we want the best minds and the most experienced minds to do some of the things.
The world is evolving. We have to evolve with the world.
Exactly. If you don't, then that's what you get now. When something crazy hits like COVID-19, you see many magicians struggling.
And another question, just what are your favorite magicians? It's a difficult one, I think, but some of them.
My favorite magicians.
Yeah, for them.
Sure. I will say a few names. I like Elmsley a lot. Alex Elmsley a lot. I like Stuart James. I like John Bannon. I like Simon Aronson. Vernon, great. Who else? Gabi is so great, isn't he? I'm not super familiar, but every time I see something from Gabi, it's like perfect.
Yeah.
No?
It's incredible.
Gabi is great. If you want someone a bit younger, one of my earliest inspirations was Joshua J. When I was young. But Joshua J has some stuff as well. Good friend of mine. Yeah, I think those are some of the names I can think of. My very first magic book was a Jay Sankey book. I have to mention Jay Sankey. Even though I made fun of him sometimes. But Jay Sankey is.
Harapan, we thanks a lot to you, your time, your good vibes, your knowledge, and we hope really see you soon in Chile or whatever place in the world. And the invitation is open. So if you want to come to Chile and travel more than 11 hours, you're welcome.
It's not more than 11. It's way more than 11. Trust me. It is way more. It's like 20-something hours probably. No joke. It probably is that far. Yeah.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And we send you a big hug. And
Thank
we
you so
hope
much.
your family and you stay safe and be very well with all this shit is happening.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was really fun talking to you all. Thank you.
Thanks for your
Thank you
time.
again for your time.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.